What's up, guys? TGIF. Welcome back to the Attachment Confessions. My name is Chelsea, and I'm super pumped to have you here with me today for episode 22. In case you're an Attachment Confessions first timer, let me fill you in on what the pod is all about. From the moment I discovered attachment science, everything about every relationship I had ever been in finally made sense. And now I'm figuring out what it takes to earn my attachment security and have the best possible relationships from now on. Here on the Attachment Confessions, we'll be diving into all things attachment science while you guys tag along on my attachment healing adventure. My hope is that by bringing attachment science to those of you who have never heard of it before, and by sharing my own story, you'll also be inspired to set out on your own attachment healing journey. Because let's be real, life is so much sweeter on the other side of your insecure attachment. Speaking of, if this podcast is helping you finally make sense of your relationships, please take a quick sec to follow, rate, and review the Attachment Confessions. It really does make a huge difference in helping other listeners discover this podcast. And before we get started on today's topic, I wanted to remind you guys that the Attachment Confessions has teamed up with Dwell Apparel to give listeners of the podcast 15% off your purchase. Dwell makes awesome faith-inspired clothing, drinkware, and accessories for men, women, teens, and kiddos. They have something for everybody's style, so go check them out. I love Dwell because not only are you shining the light of the world by wearing their super comfy tees and sweatshirts or using their drinkware when you're on the go, you're also supporting a small, family-owned business based out of the great state of Idaho. So it's a win-win situation. Visit dwellapparel.com and use the discount code Chelsea Scott at checkout to save 15% off your entire order. That's all one word, spelled CHELSEASCOTT for 15% off. I'll also include my direct referral link in the show notes if you want to just click on that. It'll take you straight to where you need to go to check their stuff out. Another friendly reminder that Mother's Day will be here before you know it. So if you've got some shopping to do for any of the Jesus-loving moms in your life, Dwell Apparel has got you covered, fam. Alrighty, so today is the final episode of our 4-part series where we've been digging super deep into each attachment style. Episode 19 was dedicated to the anxious preoccupied, episode 20 was all about our dismissive avoidance, and episode 21 focused on my fellow fearful avoidance. You guys, I am seriously blown away by the response to these deep dive episodes. Listenership increased by 103% in the month of March. I've received more direct messages on the Attachment Confessions Instagram thanks to those of you who have asked me to go down the rabbit hole of each attachment. And all I can really say in y'all's response to these deep dive episodes is wow. Just wow. Like, give the people what they want, right? So, today is certainly bittersweet as we wrap up our deep dive series. But it's going to be a good one. We're going out of this series with a bang, okay? Because today is all about the holy grail of all attachments, the born and raised secures. So, grab yourself a hanky to soak up all your happy tears as you imagine yourself living your best life in our securely attached friend's shoes. Let's freaking go. A quick recap for those of you who are new to the Attachment Confessions. The science of attachment refers to the attachment style every single one of us on planet Earth forms in childhood due to the emotional attunement level or lack thereof of our parents or primary caregivers. This formed attachment style then goes on to shape and predict how we behave in romantic relationships for the rest of our lives. As wild as this may sound, attachment formation typically happens between 0 to 5 years of age. But just because most of us don't have a ton of memories to recall from that age range doesn't matter at all, because whether we like it or not, our nervous systems remember. So, how on earth does secure attachment form in childhood? To put it in the simplest terms, consistent emotional attunement. Our born secures experienced connection, attention, validation, and proper responsiveness to their emotional needs from their parents or primary caregivers on a consistent basis. This consistency taught their little nervous systems that expressing a need, whether good, bad, or indifferent, was a safe thing to do. This sense of safety is vital to forming secure connection to others, especially those that we love the most. Now, this doesn't mean their parents were perfect. This doesn't mean their life was perfect. As we all know, perfection doesn't exist. According to attachment expert Thais Gibson's 2023 book, Learning Love, if a child has more positive experiences than negative, they will likely form a secure attachment. These individuals tend to have a childhood that features consistent emotional and physical connection, predictability, open communication, and stability. As a result, the securely attached child learns to associate love with safety, openness, and vulnerability. Most born and raised secures come from a two-parent household where their parents not only were dialed into the child's emotions, they modeled healthy boundaries and conflict resolution with one another. They also modeled affection, dedication, and reciprocation of each other's needs. Let's look at it from the lens of how insecure attachments are formed. As you'll recall from the last 3 episodes, anxious preoccupieds experienced emotional intermittent reinforcement in childhood. Sometimes their needs were met, other times they weren't. This instability and lack of consistency is what creates their anxiousness in romantic relationships and their fear of abandonment. For dismissive avoidance, they experienced consistent emotional neglect, which goes on to shape their need for independence and emotional distance, as those were the coping mechanisms and self soothing practices that kept them safe as children. And for my fellow fearful avoidance, the trauma we experienced in childhood caused us to form a deep betrayal wound and major trust issues, which makes us long for connection while simultaneously fearing it, thus creating our hot and cold patterns in our adult relationships. Those that formed secure attachment from the jump didn't experience what the AP, DA, or FA experienced. The key in all of this: consistent attunement to the child's emotional and physical needs. The tricky part about all of this, though, is that it's nearly impossible to raise a securely attached child if their parents aren't securely attached themselves. The silver lining? It's never too late to work towards healing your own insecure attachment, and in turn, it's never too late to change up your parenting patterns and foster security in your child. But Chelsea, what if my children are grown? Repair is always possible, you guys, as long as the intentionality to take accountability and work towards repair is there. Episode 5 hits this topic hard, so definitely check it out if you haven't yet. Why fostering secure attachment in our kids is so crucial. So, what exactly does secure attachment look like? Our friends who are securely attached carry a solid sense of confidence and emotional safety into their relationships, as well as other areas of their daily lives. They aren't overly dependent on others, yet aren't afraid to lean on those they're close to for support when it's necessary. Secures are very balanced individuals. They value self reliance, but know how to ask for help without feeling embarrassed or ashamed. Born secures tend to feel emotionally grounded, both within themselves and in their relationships. Everyone experiences highs and lows, ups, middles, and downs, both joyful times and painful times. But for our born secures, they've learned that it's safe to open up to and rely on others, regardless if what they're putting out on the table is positive, negative, or something in between. This is because their nervous system learned early on that it is okay to do so. When it comes to their romantic relationships, they're able to tap into and express their emotions and experience intimacy with their partner while also maintaining a healthy level of independence. The nerd word for this is interdependence. Psychology Today explains it like this: interdependence in secure relationships is characterized by mutual support, shared decision making, emotional intimacy, and healthy boundaries. Securely attached individuals have a strong sense of self, trust in their loved ones, and communicate effectively, which fosters deeper connections and a sense of choice and authenticity in their relationships. Interdependence is the goal. It allows for emotional closeness without losing individuality. It promotes personal growth while also growing together, which ultimately cultivates secure, fulfilling relationships. When trouble inevitably comes to paradise, they don't freak out, go from 0 to 100, feel automatic rejection, get overwhelmed, or shut down. Instead of viewing conflict as a threat, like those of us with insecure attachments often do, they view it as a chance to learn, grow, solve problems, and deepen their connection with their partner. Because born secures have a strong sense of self worth, they know their value and trust in their ability to work through problems. They're all about honesty and open communication. They're able to approach situations with curiosity instead of judgment, an open mind instead of jumping to conclusions. And when you're able to approach problems in this manner, that right there is what creates the foundation of healthy, long lasting relationships. It's an absolute game changer. And honestly, sounds like a dream come true for us insecurely attached peeps. Now, I gotta give another dose of reality to my fellow insecures. Generally speaking, securely attached individuals are not attracted long term to a partner who has an insecure attachment, which sucks to hear, I know. Here's why. Secure people know that relationships require two people that can reflect, communicate, regulate their emotions, and grow in order to maintain that relationship, not just one person doing all the emotional work. They spot red flags early, and the red flags of those who lean strong into their insecure attachments are major icks for secures. So, here are some signs that you need to work on your insecure attachment so that you can attract and keep a secure partner. 1. You become defensive when given feedback. 2. You blame your ex for all past relationship failures. 3. You shut down anytime there's conflict. 4. You avoid emotional conversations. And 5. You're unable to reflect on your own destructive patterns or mistakes that you've made. These patterns of behavior are signals that you struggle with self awareness, accountability, and emotional regulation, which are all vital components for having healthy relationships. Securely attached people tend to get turned off very quickly if they see these insecure patterns pop up in a partner. I've got some good news for you though. The more you work on earning your attachment security, the less and less frequently these insecure attachment red flags are going to fly, which will then attract secure individuals. Remember, attachment is on a spectrum. Not all anxious preoccupieds, dismissive avoidance, or fearful avoidance lean severely into their insecure attachment. For someone like myself who has been actively working on earning my attachment security over the last several months, I could actually gravitate even closer to security if I were to date a securely attached partner. He could help nudge me along towards security, so to speak, because he won't be bringing his own insecure attachment patterns into the relationship. A secure person tends to rub their security off onto their partner, if that makes any sense. Earning your attachment security sounds daunting and complicated, but it's actually quite simple. Really, it boils down to these two things: self awareness and practice. So, first off, knowing and understanding your attachment style. This means you know what your attachment wounds are, you know what your needs are in a relationship, and you know how you typically handle conflict. So, for example, hi, my name is Chelsea, and I'm a healing fearful avoidant. My primary attachment wound is the fear of betrayal. My biggest need in a relationship is to feel seen, heard, and understood by my partner. Without having done the healing work to earn my attachment security, I typically avoid conflict out of fear that I'll be misunderstood by my partner until one day I can't take it anymore and I word vomit my transgressions all over my partner, which is not cool, fair, mature, or effective for building healthy relationships, which is why I'm on my attachment healing journey. After you have your own self awareness mantra down pat, you now know where you fall short and what needs to be worked on. How simple is that? Now, here comes the less simple part, putting the actual brain changing tools into practice that get you closer and closer to earning your attachment security. Why is this less simple? Because it truly does take daily practice. Our subconscious stores 95% of our actions and beliefs, which means that the insecure thought patterns and behaviors that are wired into us are on autopilot. I've said it before, self awareness is only the first step in earning your attachment security. The other, much more complex step is reprogramming our subconscious minds. I'm not going to spill any of the secrets that Dr. Sarah Hensley teaches in her programs because that's not my material to teach. But if you're serious about breaking free from the chains of your insecure attachment, I cannot urge you enough to look into her services. Or check out Thais Gibson or Adam Lane Smith. All three of these attachment experts are phenomenal. But for me, Dr. Sarah Hensley has the simplest and easiest to understand and digest, yet most effective approach, in my personal opinion. Her techniques are so straightforward, you can put them into practice immediately. P.S. Make sure you keep tuning into the attachment confessions because I'm hoping to drop some really exciting news, including a special offer for my listeners very soon. Thank God that those of us who weren't blessed with a secure attachment straight out the gate can unlearn our insecure ways and become more secure over time. Just keep this in mind though. Nobody will ever be 100% secure. Earning your attachment security doesn't mean there won't be slip ups or moments where your insecure behaviors won't come creeping in. We're human, so perfection in any area is unachievable. Attachment is no exception. You don't just learn some new tools and bam, you're fixed. It's a gradual, transformative process. What matters is that the moments when your insecure attachment rears its unpretty head happen less and less frequently. And when they do happen, you're able to recognize it quickly and pivot. This is called catch and correct behavior. Being able to identify your AP, DA, or FA patterns as they're happening and choosing a different path in real time is a powerful thing. Every single step you take is a step towards progress and brings you closer to emotional security. And developing a secure attachment benefits you just as much as it benefits your partner. It's a total win win. Alrighty, guys, I really hope that this deep dive into our Born Secures inspires you to set out on this so worth it journey of earning your attachment security. I think I can confidently speak for basically any and everybody when I say, holy schmoly, being securely attached sounds freaking amazing. I'm super excited for our upcoming episodes. We've got some awesome topics and guests lined up, including an encore appearance from everyone's favorite dismissive avoidant guest, Brent Stokes. He's going to be back for a fun Q&A episode, so stay tuned for that. I'm also still looking for an anxious preoccupied who can share what it's like firsthand being an AP. I've had a number of you guys reach out to me on my Instagram who are amazing and awesome, but when we've taken some time to chat through things, lo and behold, you're actually a fellow fearful avoidant. One thing really quick that I want to bring up, okay? The online attachment quizzes that are floating around out there, it's fun to take quizzes, but after all the research I've done over the last several months, I have to admit, attachment quizzes are pretty much garbage. So please do not rely on them. There's so much nuance that goes into attachment science that a quick 5-minute online quiz cannot possibly take into account, and more often than not, the results just aren't accurate. Needless to say, we've got a solid group of future fearful avoidant guests on the roster for the pod. But will my real APs please stand up? Slide into my Instagram DMs at the attachment confessions, por favor. I know that having a firsthand account of what it's like being an anxious preoccupied will help other listeners tremendously. And don't forget to share the attachment confessions with your friends, family, anyone that you think that could benefit from learning about attachment theory. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope y'all have an amazing next couple of weeks, and I'll see you back here on the Attachment Confessions next time. Love you guys. Bye.